I'm back up here at Smallwood Dam. You can see it just over my shoulder here in the background. I do want to give a few more details on this dam though, because I know we have a bunch of new subscribers. This dam is located on the Tittabawassee River system, just south of the Secord Lake Dam, but it is towards the north of Wixom Lake, Edenville Tobacco River Dam, and even further to the north of Sanford Dam. So those dams are the ones that are south from here. And I do want to give a huge thanks to my new patrons, Rachel and Greg. Without you guys, it would not be possible for me to continue to come out here and document this for historical purposes. I want to thank everyone for your support. If you want to support me, the links for that are in the description down below, both my PayPal, my Patreon. There are a few GoFundMe pages as well for some live cameras that I want to set up here on Secord and Smallwood Dam. Still need a little bit of funding for those ones yet, but I do have 5 live cameras currently set up. 2 on Edenville Dam, 1 on the Tobacco River Dam, and 2 on Sanford Dam. So make sure you check those out. A lot of work going on down there at Edenville and the Tobacco River Dam right now. And I also want to thank people for sending me letters through the mail. So huge thanks to Ted. If you want to send me anything, I will go ahead and pop my PO box up on the screen right now. Let me go ahead though now and we'll turn this camera around. So like I said, we're here on Smallwood Lake. Smallwood Dam is right there, right in the background. Really peaceful day, you can see that there's absolutely no waves out here. I'll be quiet for a little while too, and you can see just how peaceful this lake is. Just a couple birds in the background. The loudest thing is actually hearing the water flow over the spillway over there on Smallwood Dam. So there's not a lot of work going on here. A lot of people are looking at this dam, they're not seeing anything happening here. And you might be right from a physical perspective, but behind the scenes there is a ton of work going on here. A lot of engineering, studies and evaluations of the dam itself, as well as the lake around, the embankment. There's a ton of work going on here. So even though you're not able to see excavators out here digging up stuff, riprap going in place, maybe the powerhouse being redone, spillways being redone, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. And if you actually look at the Four Lakes Task Force timeline, they're right in line with that. So right now is the engineering details. They're actually probably looking at swapping out these Tanner gates. Those Tanner gates will probably be switched over to crest gates. At least this is the plan. I will go over a few of the details that they have at the end of this video, some of the construction details of, you know, what's going to happen to the earthen embankment, what's going to happen to the spillway, as well as the powerhouse. So kind of interesting to see those details on paper, but the interim repairs should be now complete. And right now they're estimating a completion date for restoring the lake between 2022 and 2024. I know that may seem like a long time. There's a lot of people complaining saying, well, there's nothing wrong with this dam. Lower those gates, let this lake be refilled, restore the water level. If nothing else, it will at least flood out some of this vegetation over here and kill off the vegetation and trees on the lake bottom so that they no longer have to worry about that. This is not entirely up to Four Lakes Task Force though. There are a lot of government agencies and a bunch of other things that are being looked at here on all of the dams. So not just this one, but it's not up to Four Lakes Task Force sole discretion just to drop those gates. If they could, from a safety perspective, I'm sure they would love to restore the lakes, but it's just not possible right now. I just came from filming up at Secord Lake, so trying to knock out a few videos today. Probably going to take me a couple weeks to get these edited, but you know, now I'm down here on Smallwood Lake. May actually go down to Edenville and Tobacco River, fly the drone real quick so that we're not missing any of the details that are happening there as well. Wow, look at that fish. That was a huge fish that just jumped out there. No, there might be a few people interested in the water here. A lot of weeds, algae growing up here along the shore. Let's turn the camera around, take a look at the lake bed. So a lot of diversity here. I'll actually try to point out some stuff that I actually know the names of. So we have a cottonwood tree right here. Right next to that is a willow tree, some goldenrod. I'm not exactly sure what these purple flowers are, but the bumblebees seem to be loving those. A couple more flowers here. Nice little yellow one. This over here actually almost looks like catnip. Let me break off a piece and smell it. Yes, yes, all these little purple flowers in here are all catnip. A lot more cottonwood trees up here. And we'll walk this way a little bit further. These ones here are probably 7 to 8 feet tall. So they're getting pretty tall. A lot more yellow flowers, some more goldenrod. And then we get to an area where not much is growing, but take a look at what's here. Just a lot of zebra mussels. You can see all these shells here are from the zebra mussels that used to inhabit Smallwood Lake. And I know a lot of people are saying good, that they're glad that those are dead, they're invasive, but they're dead up here. There's a ton more still living out there in Smallwood Lake. So as soon as the lake levels are restored, these zebra mussels will be coming back to life and spreading all over this area again. I'm actually going to head over there to the earthen embankment real quick. Let's take a quick look at that. But right now, let's get into some of that aerial drone video. Jumping into some of the drone video now, we have the drone facing towards the north, and we're dropping an altitude from 400 feet. So 400 feet is the legal height limit that you're able to fly a drone. So we're going to go ahead and drop an altitude here and come right behind Smallwood Dam. We can see the water flowing over the top of these two spillways in riprap all around the sides of this dam. I mentioned it in a few previous videos, but I do have an opportunity to actually go down to the quarry where this riprap is mined out of, where Fisher Contracting actually gets this riprap from, and actually do a tour and show you guys exactly where the quarry is and what things look like down there. Would actually be pretty cool if I was down there on a day that they were doing some blasting and mining this rock out of the ground. So let me know in the comments down below if you are interested in seeing that. But now I'm going to go ahead, we're going to pan the drone over here to the right hand side. We can see the steel sheet pile cutoff wall up at the top of the screen, and all this new riprap that was laid down here directly behind that cutoff wall. So a lot of that was used to stop erosion that was happening in this area. And that cutoff wall just has a little tiny break in it in the gate there where they're able to access Smallwood Dam, and then comes all the way around this side back to the river. So we'll jump back, take a little bit closer look here at the powerhouse. This is the same size dam and powerhouse as up at Secord Dam. So we do have one turbine, one impeller in this dam, and it would exit right there at the bottom of the chute below the concrete structure there. The concrete on this powerhouse actually looks like it's in a little better shape than Secord Dam. Looks like there was a turtle that just jumped in the water right there on that little sandy shoal. So I wanted to come up here and get a little bit closer look and see if I could see him. Looks like there was another couple little turtles there. So definitely they are loving this area. But like I was saying, the concrete looks like it's in a little bit better shape here than up at Secord Dam. We don't see much spalling occurring, but we do see a little bit of cracks in it. So I'm sure it's going to be occurring fairly soon. That rebar is probably getting a little bit rusted in there and increasing the pressure inside of that concrete. It's another great shot of the Tanner gates in their fully raised position and the water flowing over the top of Smallwood Dam. And here's the water that's located between the spillways and the sill. And then panning over here a little bit further towards the right, this area coming into view here, we can see where this concrete is missing from the tail race wall. So that tail race still needs to be repaired. I'm pretty sure that was actually a part of the interim repairs. So that will have to be re-poured, but they might just go ahead and re-pour that when they go ahead and pour the retaining walls again. So another shot directly behind the dam. I'll come up real close directly behind the spillways. There's not even a ripple out there on the water on Smallwood Lake directly in front of this dam. It's pretty cool. We got some really good reflection photos of the dam this day because there was just zero wind out here, and that water is flowing directly over the top of these spillways right here in this view. I finally made it to the earthen embankment. Smallwood Dam is right there, and this used to be Smallwood Lake out here. It was pretty hard to actually walk through that. Like brush in there, and the vegetation is a lot taller than you would think. Here's the backside of the dam though. Kind of crazy. Some of the video that was taken on the day that Edenville Dam, the earthen embankment, failed, there was actually water flowing over the top of this embankment right here and going down there. A lot of riprap in there. help save the earthen embankment so that it didn't get washed away. But you can definitely see these slopes here. Look at how just steep these slopes are on both sides. I know this is one thing in the plan, that these slopes need to be a lot smaller. You know, you got runs and risers. This needs to run out here a lot further on this side. It's just way too steep right now. Over here in the background, this looks like this was logged. I'm not sure if this was logged before last year when the dams failed or not. Could probably go back to see some of those videos and see when exactly that was, but that looks like that's been logged for at least a year. I'm not going to go ahead and walk down there. This is as far as I'm going to walk, but right now the lake levels are actually pretty low. I keep saying lake levels. Really, it's a river level. We had a couple storms come through about a week and a half ago, knocked out a ton of power in Edenville, took down 3 of my live cameras just because they didn't have power and internet, but there was a lot of power lines just down because trees had fell right over them. So a lot of that water has now passed through. We haven't got water or rain since then, so the water level is starting to subside a little bit, and they're actually pretty low. Got some great views downriver here with the drone. Let's go down here now, back on the lake bed. So it's a ton of honeybees. Look at all the honeybees right here. Pretty interesting because, you know, I used to be a beekeeper. I'm not sure if many of you know that or not, but if you go way back on the channel a few years ago, you actually see a lot of beekeeping videos. It was a pretty interesting hobby, but honeybees are going through a really hard time right now. They're having a hard time making it through the winter. So I went ahead, I got out of that hobby, but I definitely will be getting back into that in the future when we go ahead and have kids in maybe a couple of years. I actually had an observation beehive that I put in my bedroom. Look at the monarch butterflies too. Pretty cool seeing them out here. We actually raised monarch butterflies, side fact as well, and I actually posted that video on my other YouTube channel that is linked in the description down below. So if you want to check that out, I actually did a time lapse of, you know, them going into the chrysalis and then hatching out of their chrysalis, so it was pretty cool. But yeah, lots of cool things, hobbies that I've did in the past. Huge thistle here, tons of bumblebees all over it. I don't see many honeybees, but just kind of crazy seeing how much wildlife there is down here on the lake bed. Go ahead and I'll kick it back over to some of that drone video now though. And then at the end of this video, don't forget that I actually will be covering some of those engineering diagrams and details showing the dam rebuilding, what the plan is for that, what the dam will look like, and what all that's going to take. Jumping back to the drone video now, we are directly behind the spillways again, looking below those Tanner gates towards the north and looking at Smallwood Lake out there in the background. We'll go ahead, we'll pull back a little bit further and again see the water coming over the top of the spillways and exiting the sill, going downriver. And this next shot of mine is one of my favorites that I love to give. I go down river, film a little bit down there, and then come back up the river. Can kind of just get a little bit more of the perspective as to the landscape where Smallwood Dam is located. There's usually a lot more wildlife down there in that area too. A lot more fish, a lot of ducks usually down there, turtles, so it's just an interesting area to film. I do want to mention here though, if anyone is interested in the equipment that I'm using, I post the links down in the description down below, and those are actually links to Amazon. So those are Amazon affiliate links, and if you go ahead and click those links, it will take you to Amazon where you're able to purchase those items. But if you go ahead and purchase anything from Amazon within 24 hours of clicking those links, they actually kick a small portion of the profit back to the channel. So that's another way to support me, and it doesn't actually have to be the item that I'm linked to either. You can go ahead, click that link, and purchase anything from Amazon, and it definitely helps out. Jumping back here towards the Smallwood Dam though, you can see this steel sheet pile cutoff wall though, and all that riprap lining it. So this is kind of a emergency spillway, and this probably ended up saving Smallwood Dam here so that the water did not flow over top of the earthen embankment right closest to the Smallwood Dam, but it was flowing over the earthen embankment down here where this emergency spillway is located. but with all that riprap located in there, it didn't erode very much. I could actually go back and show you the video from when that was happening. Let me know if you want to see more of that in the comments down below. It takes a little bit longer time for me to go back to previous years of video and kind of sort through those to be able to include those in a more recent video. But, you know, if you're interested in that, I definitely will take the time to do that and show you what happened here the day that the dams failed down there on Edenville and Sanford Lake. So another great shot with the drone, just kind of coming along the front of the steel sheet pile cutoff wall. You can actually get a little bit of a perspective as to how much the embankment is sloped in front of here, as well as on the backhand side. And we'll come right around the front of Smallwood Dam here and get a nice shot right here. You can actually see a couple of timber mats over here on the right hand side set on top of that gravel pad, and that's probably for future work that they can go ahead, bring an excavator out there and have a nice area to work on. So looking directly here in front of Smallwood Dam, again, those Tanner gates are completely retracted. They went and welded on some new shackles right here on the gates, so those gate chains could go ahead and raise those even further out of the water. If there's any future heavy rainfall, that rain will and water will flow underneath these spillways easily. Go ahead, we'll pull back a little bit further with the drone now, and I'll fly all the way up to 400 feet in altitude, get a nice perspective of what the landscape looks like from up that high and what Smallwood Dam still looks like and Smallwood Lake. So this area over here on the left hand side of the screen that I was talking about looks like it was logged out, all the timber removed from that area. I did go back over a year ago when this dam had massive flooding on it and the day that Edenville Dam failed. And this area over here on the left had already been logged out, so it was previous to when the dams failed. So just kind of some interesting information. And then over here on the right-hand side of Smallwood Dam, you can actually see the substation located over there. Coming into view now, we can see a couple of those properties in the lakebed where water is no longer located. And I'll keep pulling back a little bit further. It seems like people are always interested as to what is happening upriver of these dams as well as what the landscape looks like. So actually in one else. So this is a good view up one of those canals, and we can see how much water is located in those. So quite a bit of vegetation is still growing up there. I know there's still a few pontoons located in the water. Looks like there's one down here exiting the bottom of the screen. I'm on my way back to the truck, and you know, if you've watched this video this long, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you leave a like, a thumbs up on this video. It helps out the channel a lot. Comment down below. All those things really help out, but most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you watch this video this long, you're already enjoying the content, so it just helps out even more. So I really appreciate it. I appreciate all my subscribers subscribing to the channel. That's why I thank every single person at the beginning of all these videos. Without you, I would not be able to continue doing this. So once again, thank you for your support. Some of the quick facts here on Smallwood Dam are that it's going to cost $18 million to repair. There are 721 waterfront properties around Smallwood Lake. The estimated lake return date is between 2022 and 2024, and the estimated annual capital assessment range is $1,086. Comparing this to Secord Dam, you might notice that the actual cost to repair is less on Smallwood Dam, but the assessment is a lot higher, almost double that, and that comes from there being less than half of the waterfront properties around Smallwood Dam. So when you kind of divvy up that cost to repair among the waterfront properties, that's where that increase comes from. Now let's go ahead and look at the estimated completion timeline here. You'll notice all of these processes are running in parallel. That is to shorten this timeline as short as possible. We can see construction ending, or actually starting November 2022 to spring of 2024. We have financing, engineering, bid letting, and construction all running in parallel to shorten these timelines as short as possible. But you know, if there's a delay up here in financing or engineering, that is going to push all these timelines even later. Here's kind of just a general overview of where things are going to be placed. The new concrete auxiliary spillway is going to go in this area. This is the roadway back to the dam, and then a riprap lined conveyance channel is going to head back this way to Tittabawassee River, exiting the back of Smallwood Dam over in this area. They're also going to raise the embankment, this driveway, over here on the left-hand side. Here's looking at the backside of Smallwood Dam. A lot of embankment repair here in red. We can see all the erosion that was occurring. This has actually already been completed, as we've seen previously in my video. You can see all the debris that is piled up here in front of Smallwood Dam. That is going to be especially helpful when they install these crest gates. So you can see these Tainer gates are blocking debris from entering the spillways and passing down river. If we had crest gates in here, that would just flow over the top of the gates. Also, these gates actually reach a maximum height, whereas the crest gates, shown here on this slide, if that water gets too high, it's just going to continue flowing over top of that gate and not block the water like these Tainer gates. These Tainer gates are actually just raised upwards by chains. But yeah, that is why they're going with these crest gates that are operated by these kind of hydraulic rams. We have one in the open position and one in the closed position. Now I'm going to kind of pass over the slide portion here to Rick Anderson, who's the lead dam safety engineer for GEI Consultants. This was a Four Lakes Task Force webinar. So let me know if you guys actually enjoy listening to Rick and talking over the engineering aspects of this dam, or if you prefer me to do voiceover. Their video is a little bit more clear than pulling the photographs from their website and doing voiceovers on them. So he does go into a little bit more detail than me. I'm a chemist, not an engineer by trade, so you'll definitely get a little more details by him. But maybe you guys don't want that, so let me know what you like in the comments down below.
The embankments, not a lot of change on the embankments other than adding some internal drains, filters, and additional riprap protection. I'll show that in more detail in a bit. But at the gated spillway itself, we're looking to cut down the two rollways, fill those hollow bays with concrete, and then put taller, higher capacity hinged crest gates up on the top to significantly increase the flow and also do a lot better job in terms of passing debris and so forth, which we saw was an issue during the May flood event. On the left, you'll see a new structure called an auxiliary spillway, which will allow water, once it gets above a certain level under flood conditions, to pass over the spillway chute and protect the embankments from overtopping, so that between the auxiliary spillway and the new gates at the primary spillway, we will have sufficient total capacity to pass the flood without risk of overtopping the dam. Next slide.
Rick, you may point out that when you said left, it was on the slide, it's on the right?
Yeah, sorry. When the dam engineer, when we talk left and right, we talk about the perspective of being in a boat on the lake looking downstream. So when I say the left embankment, that's right on your screen. And so the perspective is looking downstream. So thank you for clarifying that, Dave. Next slide. So here's a close-up. That snip on the left shows those new crest gates, walkway over top. We'll have double hydraulic rams in the center pier that will allow each gate to actuate separately. And there's a blow up of that in section on the right. So you can see that gate hinges down, lays flat on the cut down rollway, and allows the water to tumble down the steps into a stilling basin and then out downstream into the tail race area. We're also looking at, I don't show it here, but in what's currently the powerhouse, we'll look to, as hydro is likely not in the long-term plans, modifying that to function as a low-level outlet so we can pass base flows through it in the winter without having to keep the gates open all winter, and also avoid a lot of problems with ice buildup on the structure itself. Here's a nice blow up of the Labyrinth spillway. that will have fusible flashboards on the crest that during normal pool may only see a foot or two of water. Under winter, the pond will be drawn down a few feet, so we don't worry about ice action. But again, during a flood, which would be beyond the capacity of those crest gates, this structure would overtop. Those would lay flat and then travel over the spillway structure and down into a riprap line chute back into the river. So it's pretty tried and true technology that will, between the two, provide the capacity we need. And here's this gives you an idea of the kind of repairs we're proposing for the embankment, showing placement of filter and drainage stone, an additional riprap, which will have the dual effect of not only bolstering the stability, but also provide a filtered exit for any seepage that does get through, so it doesn't take the fines with it.
Thanks for watching, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next videos I will be posting, and leave your questions, comments, and suggestions below. As always, I just want to give a massive thanks to the people who support me on Patreon. Never underestimate the value of your contribution to keeping this channel going. Thank you.